With the Canadian election coming up this fall, I'll be doing a little more content on what is happening in Canada. Now, I've done countless videos on Justin Trudeau and his many failures, notably on climate and on labor, but I really haven't paid as much attention as I should be paying to Conservative Party leader Andrew Scheer, because Andrew Scheer is horrible. He has a horrible record. His Conservative Party, from what we've seen so far, has a horrible platform. So it's worth exposing that as well. So just to be clear, I'm not voting Conservative or Liberal in this upcoming election. Now, I want to show you this speech from Conservative leader Andrew Scheer. This is back when he was just a Conservative MP, where this is 2005. And he is discussing his opposition to the Civil Marriage Act, which legalized same-sex unions in Canada.
There's nothing more important to society than the raising of children, for its very survival requires it. Homosexual unions are by nature contradictory to this. There is no complementarity of the sexes. Two members of the same sex may use their God-given free will to engage in acts, to cohabit, to own property together. They may commit themselves to monogamy. They may pledge to remain in a loving relationship for life. In that sense, they have many of the collateral features of marriage, but they do not have its inherent feature. As they cannot commit to the natural procreation of children, they cannot, therefore, be married. How many legs would a dog have if you counted the tail as a leg? The answer is just 4. Just because you call a tail a leg doesn't make it a leg. If this bill passes, governments and individual Canadians will be forced to call a tail a leg, nothing more.
All right. I mean, before I say anything, that is one of the dumbest analogies I have ever heard. You don't call a tail a leg. Therefore, same-sex couples should not be able to form a union. Like, where do you make that connection? And then he says earlier, when you have couples of the opposite sex, because they can procreate, well, that means they can get married. How about the couples of different sexes that can't procreate for whatever reason? So couples that can't have kids because of their own health issues, should they not be able to get married? Like, this is so stupid. On top of being incredibly dumb, Andrew Scheer is also a total loser. I mean, you're that triggered by same-sex couples that you spoke out against them and compared them to tails on dogs. Like, the whole thing is so ridiculous. And you may think, but 2005, ancient history. I'm sure Andrew Scheer is very progressive on these issues now. I'm sure he's very vocal of his support of the LGBT community. I'm sure he's joined many pride events. No. So as Ralph Goodale, a Liberal MP, tweets out, Mr. Scheer has been an MP for 5,533 days, but hasn't found a single day to celebrate Pride and thus defend every Canadian's human rights. Where better to begin than this weekend at his very own hometown Pride in Ottawa? So, Andrew Scheer is not expected to join that Pride parade or event. Maybe he will. I don't think so. I mean, based on everything he's done so far, based on his history on this issue, I think it's very unlikely that he'll be joining Pride in Ottawa. But look, I just want to make it clear here. I don't support Liberals at all. But that doesn't mean the content of that tweet is wrong. Ralph Goodale is exactly right in his critique of Andrew Scheer. So I just want people to understand you can separate arguments from the people that are making those arguments. The argument he is making is correct. He's the one that put out this video on Twitter. He is right to do so. We should be looking into the history of these leaders, including the leader of his own party, as I have in the past. So we have to be completely fair here when we're looking at the actual MPs and the leaders of these parties and their history on these issues and their current platforms. Now, Andrew Scheer responded to this, or didn't respond to this. So this from the Toronto Star. Scheer's office did not immediately respond to questions on whether his position on same-sex marriage has evolved over the past 14 years. But earlier this month, a spokesperson for the Conservative leader said the party has a proud history of fighting for the rights and protection of all Canadians, including those in the LGBTQ community, at home and abroad. All right. A proud history of fighting for the LGBTQ community. Where's the evidence? I mean, it's amazing that people can just put out statements like this. I have a proud history of selling out 30,000 seat arenas because of my beautiful singing voice. I don't have any proof. Just got to take my word for it. I mean, this is what I do. I sell out arenas because I sing, and people just show, like, I don't know where I'm going with this. But the point is, this is so stupid. I mean, show us some proof. What's your history? You couldn't respond to a question on whether your position on same-sex marriage has evolved over 14 years. It's a pretty easy question to answer. If a giant newspaper like the Toronto Star calls you and wants a response to your position on this, a major position, and you have no response, then we have to assume that your position has not evolved, that you've stayed the same, or at the very least, you are trying to dog whistle to a conservative base that is increasingly more xenophobic, homophobic, and racist. So, look, this is the Conservative Party. I'm going to have more videos on Andrew Scheer and the Conservatives. Look up my previous videos on Andrew Scheer. It's not like I've been silent on him, but it's just like the reason I have trouble covering the Conservatives is because for me, a lot of it just seems obvious. I mean, it should be obvious that this party stands up for massive corporations, that this party continues to engage xenophobic dog whistles, that this party continues trying to hold on to an era that's long past. I mean, like I get it. The Liberals are horrible. I'm not voting for the Liberal Party. Justin Trudeau, a lot of, flowery rhetoric, a lot of intentions, or at least, rhetorical intentions on how progressive he's going to be or was going to be, but total liar, especially on issues like on electoral reform, where Trudeau did not support electoral reform because his party was able to form a majority government with 40% of the vote. That's because of the current system, because of first past the post. So yeah, he wasn't going to push for a new electoral system when the current one benefited his party. I mean, that's just one of many issues, but that shows you why the Liberal Party is more attached to holding on to power as opposed to actually making any meaningful change in people's lives. The Conservative Party is very similar in that sense, just a little more conservative on these issues. But this is not, like, you have other options out there. There are other parties out there, other party leaders out there that demand your attention. Andrew Scheer is not somebody that deserves your vote or deserves any of your attention.